Yes, they're one of the greatest and best-selling bands of all time. They've been together for almost 40 years, and today they released this Metallica The Black Album, remastered deluxe box set, and the Metallica Blacklist. Please welcome Kirk Hammett, Robert Trujillo, James Hetfield, and Lars Ulrich, Metallica. Mutual appreciation for the bands. How you guys doing?
We made it out of the house.
Woo!
Is this back to LA after 2 years?
Is this week like the first time you guys have been together for a long time?
James.
This is the first time we've been working outside of NorCal, San Francisco, where we're from.
Gotcha, gotcha. Do you have Zoom meetings? Is this like a...
You bet.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
It was mandatory. I told those guys, hey, I feel so disconnected and depressed and lonely, and I want to Zoom with you guys. So we did a weekly Zoom where we would just check in and just say, hey.
Did you ever imagine, like, 30 years ago that there would be Zoom? I mean, no, we didn't even know that, but...
I remember when Zoom was a TV show.
That's right.
Kids.
Zoom, 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 right.
Exactly.
You know, I can't believe it because I have to say, my oldest daughter was born right when your album came out, and she just turned 30, and here you are, and you guys are still going, and people still love this album so much. And I know that you've answered a lot of questions about it, but I have a few I want to ask you. Well, first of all, I want to ask, who started calling it the Black Album? Because it is not really the title of the album.
No, it's just called Metallica. Our whole approach after the previous album, And Justice for All, was to simplify, shorten the songs, and do away with as much imagery and all the potential silliness of
But you had
of
lightning
rock.
and, like,
All
a
that
hammer.
stuff, all that stuff.
blood.
Cliche possible. So let's just call the album Metallica. And then somebody in the press or one of the fans started calling it the Black Album.
The Black Album. And then when Jay-Z came out with his The Black Album, were you guys like, hey, that's kind of our thing?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But none more black. I mean, someone did it kind of before us, didn't they? Spinal Tap.
Yeah, right, yes.
It's all their fault.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
They have a lot to
you guys
answer
did the
for.
documentary with those guys, and yeah, that was good. Yeah, that's great. You know, I have to say, it's funny because I just remember when you guys first came out, and I was like, these guys are real scary. And then when I meet you guys, like, these are very nice guys, seem like smart guys. And you're right about when you're talking about the imagery and this kind of stuff that has become, like, part of metal and part of rock music, this, like, cartoonish stuff. It's silly when you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when we were doing some of the first albums, I guess all of the idols or peoples that we were kind of modeling ourselves after were, Ronnie James Dio, where it was like unicorns and rainbows and
dragons.
Medieval dragon fighting and
lots of dragons.
I didn't grow up around dragons, so
You didn't?
Really no.
Oh.
No, we had cats.
They're probably scarier than dragons, really. So I was listening to you guys on Howard Stern the day before yesterday, and you guys were talking about, or maybe it was yesterday, actually, you guys were talking with Miley Cyrus, and Elton John came in, and you guys, Miley and Elton and Chad from the Red Hot Chili Peppers collaborated to cover Nothing Else Matters.
And Yo-Yo Ma.
And Yo-Yo Ma, too, which is bananas.
All-star lineup.
I mean, that's a group of people you never expect would do anything together, ever.
Much less cover a Metallica song.
And I was thinking about it. I used to work at K-Rock here in Los Angeles, a radio station, and I remember when we started playing your music, how mad a lot of the listeners were. They were like, you can't play Metallica. This is an alternative radio station. And I feel like that has maybe, if not completely gone away, lessened to the point where people are like, who cares? Like, you guys, if you guys had performed with someone like Miley Cyrus, like let's say you'd done something with Madonna in the 80s, that would have been maybe it, right? I
Yeah, it'd have been over.
Yeah, it'd have been over.
Metallica and probably Madonna as well.
I think she would have been okay, but
A swan song.
it is very interesting.
There's
Things
a
are-
lot of borders that have been knocked down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know, back then things were so segregated in music, and if you were in this particular lane, nobody else, you know, would want to know. And especially in the hard rock world, there was an undercurrent of conservative views, and if you strayed away from that, you were a sellout.
And even the way you guys had to dress, and like it's funny. I went to visit you guys in the dressing room before the show, and I walk in wearing a pink T-shirt, and I didn't even realize it till I left. Like you guys were all in black. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like the Easter Bunny or something like that. I feel like such an idiot.
Where's the chocolate? Come on.
You have the Blacklist, which is you invited. I don't know if you invited or I don't know how this happened exactly, but typically in a tribute album, an artist will pick one of your songs and cover the song, and another artist will cover another one. You guys have, I think there are like 15 versions of Nothing Else Matters. There are
At least.
I mean, there are so many. You decided what? Just to kind of let everybody who did it do it.
Yeah, I mean, we encouraged all artists that we knew had in some way been influenced or affected by Metallica along the way. Would you like to cover one of these songs? And there was way more yes replies than we anticipated. So we figured that the smartest thing to do was just let them pick their own song rather than, you're not going to tell Miley Cyrus which song to pick. You're not going to tell, you know, Weezer or any of these incredible artists.
Chris
You have to do
Stapleton,
that one. So just pick your own song.
Phoebe Bridgers did an unbelievable version. I went through and I listened to all of them, and it is, boy, it's so interesting.
God bless
here.
you.
That's a
And
ton.
I did. No, but I think that's the hallmark of like you guys have written great songs is because they can take on so many forms, and they really do work in all different genres. Neptunes did a cover that sounds great. I mean, really a lot of great ones.
Incredible
Country music. I mean,
Right.
hip hop. It's just unbelievable.
And you know, you bring up a good point, Jimmy, that, you know, they all kind of either pick Sandman or Nothing Else Matters. There were definitely some people that went, you know, a little on the out of the box and went for some of the stuff. But I think it's really cool that you get to hear like 12 different versions of Nothing Else Matters.
It is.
And they're all really different. So it maybe highlighted how they digested it and how they hear the song as their own artist in their own genre.
Yesterday on Howard, Elton John said that it's one of the greatest songs ever written. And to hear somebody like that, I would imagine, who's written some of the greatest songs ever written, say that has to be meaningful to you guys, right?
Huge.
Little bit.
Huge.
Little bit.
I was sitting next to James, and I know what role Elton has played in his musical upbringing, and I could feel the shiver that went through and the hair standing on his arm when Elton said that. It was a moving moment.
It was beautiful. And, you know, for someone that's brought so much joy in my life, Candle in the Wind, I mean, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, there's a few good songs he's got.
And not only is Elton one of the great performers, writers of all time, but also he loves music. I think he's known for loving music maybe more than any other musician. These stories of him hanging out at Tower Records on Tuesdays, getting these things.
Very generous.
I would imagine he feasted on this. You've got all the LPs.
This is
and you've
the first time I've seen all that, by the way. So I don't
vinyl?
know
Oh,
what's
let me
in
take
there.
you on a little
I think
tour of it, Lars.
If my sock is in there, I'd like it back, please.
Your sock, yeah. I think there's only one. I think they spread out some of your undergarments.
I smell it.
These are old magazines. Inserts. Wow. We've got a tour book from 1992. We've got all the CDs. We've got a whole book. And this, I think, is, I don't know, this to me is like kind of the most personal item in the thing. You've got the original lyrics that James wrote out here, and your penmanship is excellent, by the way. And I love that you write on these yellow pads like a district attorney or something. And there are drawings.
Yeah. That was my backup plan. I was going to be an attorney.
When you think those lyrics, the first thing that comes to mind is district attorney, right?
Yeah, we're getting sued. I know we're getting sued.
You know, and the most impressive thing to me is that you've got doodles all over and no penises at all. You've not drawn any. Now, it's very mature.
There's a pen included. You can do your own.
You guys, are you still the only band that's played every continent in the world?
Good question.
I hope so.
Yeah.
At least up through 15, 16, whenever it was, we ended up 5 or 6 continents in, and somebody said, Antarctica. We're like, okay, let's figure out how we do that. And we ended up doing a promotion with a Latin American company that flew 300 Metallica fans down to Antarctica, and we played on an air base down there. And everybody, we set up a tent.
Right.
And all the fans in there it was like a silent disco style. So there was no amplification. The only thing you could hear were the drums and James's vocals, and then 300 crazy Latin American fans with headphones on, and then all the penguins running around outside of it.
You were trying not to knock down any more glaciers.
Well, tonight you guys are going to convoy over to Griffith Park, the observatory here in LA, and there's a lot of animals there. There are no penguins, but actually I think they do have some penguins, but there's monkeys and there's coyotes, so be careful when you're over there.
Yep.
And what song are you guys going to do tonight?
I think we're going to do Wherever I May Roam.
Yep.
Okay, figure it out on the ride over. This is it, the box set. Metallica, everybody. We'll be right back with music from Metallica. Thanks for watching. Remember, every time you click the subscribe button, one of your enemies gets destroyed.